So the big news was that Elon Musk started banning and suspending the accounts of journalists. And the reason he gave was that they were doxing his plane. They were giving real-time, up-to-date information about where his plane was. And so he, on the 14th, he tweeted this out. Any account doxing real-time location info of anyone will be suspended, as it is a physical safety violation. This includes posting links to sites with real-time location info. And that's what they did to him. Posting locations someone's traveled to on a slightly delayed basis isn't a safety problem, so that's okay. Because there was other people saying, oh, his plane has been here, so that's okay. He's saying don't do it in real time. And then he tweets this out, same day. So this was at 4:13 p.m. This was at 4:48 p.m. He says, last night, a car carrying Lil X.
That's his kid, XA23, whatever.
Oh, I didn't know what that was.
That was a rapper, didn't you?
Yes.
No, it's his kid with...
so that's his kid?
Yeah, with, what's her name? Grimes, yeah.
Was followed by a crazy stalker thinking it was me, who later blocked the car from moving and climbed onto the hood. And he got a picture of the guy. Does anybody know this guy? Well, he's dressed up like Antifa, they say. And somebody did get someone says, is this the guy who jumped on the hood? And he said, yeah, it is. So then this guy figured out who he was. This guy who's a specialist, Sergeant Daniel McLaughlin. He says that vehicle tag is temp tag, recently issued by Loma Linda Hyundai, doing business as Hyundai Inland Empire, located here. And he says that blah, blah, blah. They hand issued that paper tag. Call them tomorrow. If they refuse, then call the cops. So on the car, there was a tag, and you can call that company, and they can tell you who that guy was. That's what that's amazing that he figured that out. And then this guy, Donnie O'Sullivan, a reporter, he tweeted out LAPD statement on alleged Musk incident. LAPD's threat management unit is aware of the situation and a tweet by Elon Musk and is in contact with his representatives and security team. No crime reports have been filed yet. And then that guy got suspended. Now, I don't know if that's what it was for, but that's what people were saying why he got. I don't think that's why he got.
I think he's one of the people that
he must have been
linking to the
also
guy
meant linking.
Yeah.
So people were trying to say that's why, but okay. So somebody said, hey, reporters, they're trying to make it out that reporters who are covering Elon Musk are being suspended now. That's the new shit-lib line. Donnie O'Sullivan from CNN, Drew Harwell from the Washington Post, Ryan Mack from the New York Times, Aaron Rupar, Independent. And Elon Musk says same doxing rules apply to journalists as to everyone else. So that's his comeback. And there's all them. And he says, criticize me all day long is totally fine, but doxing me my real-time location and endangering my family is not okay. And so there was this thing called Elon Jet. Right? So there was a Twitter account called Elon's Jet. They would post wherever Elon's Jet was. So he suspended that account. And then down here, the Jet account was literally automatically posting already publicly available information that has been protected under the First Amendment in case law. You're literally just making this shit up as you go. So he's saying that Elon Musk is lying and making this stuff up.
It's not just posting already publicly available.
That's not what I am getting to that. So that's not true. 100% true. So he says, my plane is actually not trackable without using non-public data. That's what Elon Musk says. Now, would he blatantly lie that big like that? Maybe. I don't know.
They're being technical.
But that's a big, big lie if it is. Right? And so let's see. So here's what Parker Malloy says. She says, one thing that's worth remembering, the guy who set up the Elon Jet account was a fan of Musk's. Musk asked him to take it down. He half-jokingly asked for a Tesla. Musk countered with $5,000 in exchange for taking it down. He asked for $50 or a SpaceX internship. First off, 5, 10, 50, 500,000. None of it is a significant amount of money to Elon Musk. But sure, he said it felt weird to pay to have the account taken down. But why not offer the guy an internship at least?
What?
It went from, hey, this guy is a fan of Elon Musk's and he started this fun little project, to Musk saying he was going to sue a college sophomore for something his account absolutely had nothing to do with. Also, sorry, but not, you don't get to go around saying I'm a free speech absolutist and then start carving out exceptions without people calling you out for being full of shit. And then she says, oh, but I thought a company could do whatever they want, huh? That's correct. I see very few, but some people arguing otherwise. They're just calling out the free speech absolutist crowd as being full of shit, which is true. It's the exact opposite.
Parker Malloy is a moron, by the way.
So she's doing the exact opposite. No, the hypocrisy here is the people who were calling Elon Musk a fascist for not banning people they hate. Now that he's banning people they like, now that's somehow fascism. That's the weird thing. Free seats have a vote. No, who's full of shit are the liberals who were upset he wasn't banning, and now that he is, they're saying he. Do you see that? It's the exact opposite.
Can you go back to the thing of this would have been a fun little story? I was actually, before I saw the rest of it, I was like, I know Parker Malloy's an idiot, but I was like, oh, well, she's making a point. That's a good point. Then it comes to, why didn't you let this kid blackmail you into giving him things?
Right.
I mean, I'm blown away by that. I was like, oh, I guess Parker Malloy's become less stupid as time's gone on. No, dumber than ever. Wow.
I don't know who she is.
Don't even bother.
So, so let's get to the bottom of line of this, right? So, first of all, let me get to what Glenn Greenwald says, because what he says is really interesting, and it's what we just talked about. So this guy, Aaron Rupar, who was a hack of all hacks, they suspended his account, right? And I'm against it. I don't think he should be suspended. Glenn says, what happened to private companies have the right to disassociate themselves from anyone they want? Have you heard of terms of service? If you don't like how Twitter does content moderation, start your own social media site. Remember all those arguments? I do, Glenn. Thanks for bringing that up. I remember that those people like Parker Malloy used to make those arguments, and now that the situation is turned around, she's turning their they I don't know about her, they are turning their logic on their head.
You know who these are? A bunch of these people? They're a bunch of people that got their start before it was called canceling in call-out culture and had little blogs and stuff where they try to screw people's jobs. That was their whole thing. And now they have nonsense titles like, I cover internet safety.
Internet safety.
Yeah, that's, what do you do exactly?
They do nothing.
And then you look into what they do. That prick Ben Collins, they don't just do journalism. They do like shitty.
No,
I don't want to call it activism because some people do real activism, but what they do is real dirty like campaign trick stuff under the guise of journalism.
So Glenn goes on to say, CNN, the New York Times, journalists and executives. Wait, when we were demanding more of this, meaning more censorship, we didn't mean that this should be done to us. This was supposed to be used only against right-wing cretins, conservative journalists, and other species of peasants, not against us. That's what this is. For slow liberals struggling to understand the point, I already devoted a full show to critiquing Musk's inconsistent free speech practices. What I won't take are liberals who spent years defending censorship, now whining because their friends are being banned. It's exactly right. I'm against the banning of everybody, right? So I'll be consistent. Unless you're breaking a law, And then we still don't need Twitter to do it. We have law enforcement agencies that are there to take care of if someone's breaking the law. So I would like to apply the free speech First Amendment to all social media. And if just like if someone's standing in a park, they should have the same free speech rights on social media. And if they break a law in the park talking, that's just then they would be taken care of by a cop, just like on social media. If they're breaking a law, then there's already law enforcement agencies to take care of that stuff, and you should refer them to local law enforcement. So that's how I feel about it. Okay. So this guy says to Glenn, you are nothing more than a tribal grifter. Musk banning Rupar and CNN reporter Donnie O'Sullivan without any explanation is directly against what he claimed to be for, without regards for free speech. You will support anything for your tribe, though. It's the exact, again, it's just...
What, gay expats in Brazil? What's the tribe he's part of?
I don't know. So watching the same liberal corporate journalist who explicitly agitated for a regime of social media censorship suddenly and righteously wrap themselves in the flag of free speech is simultaneously nauseating and hilarious, but also encouraging and inspiring. Welcome indeed. Every genuine free speech advocate I've ever known has tried to convince people to object to censorship on principle. But knowing many are bereft of principles, e.g. liberal journalists, we try to tactical approach. This regime is bad because it will be used against you. So that's what I've always said. It's what I said to the Young Turks. I didn't try to appeal to their principles because they don't have any. I tried to appeal to their selfishness when I said, you know, you're an independent news show and they're going to come for you next. And today it's Alex Jones. And if you ever say anything that goes against the establishment, it will be you. The Young Turks don't ever say anything that goes against the establishment because they're funded by the establishment to the tune of $24 million. They are the establishment. That's why they protect politicians. That's what we tried to say. Hey, this is going to be used against you. And hey, guess what? Here it is. Now it's being used against those same people who advocated for censoring the people they didn't like. And here it is. I'd be genuinely happy if this were a transformative moment where liberals who spent years demanding online censorship now see its evils since it's directed at them and their friends. But of course, it's not that. They're complaining because they think they should be exempt. Exactly. I said it last night, and I'd bet anything conservatives would be far more consistent in condemning these bans of free speech grounds, and that's exactly what happened. This is the point. Can't recall a single liberal journalist who objected pre-Musk. So he points to a conservative guy who's saying that this is wrong. Crafting social media policy on emotional whims, no matter the correct points that right have on account banning and their previous hypocrisy of Twitter, is bad. So this guy's saying, even though they did it to conservatives, you shouldn't do it back. That's a conservative guy saying that, and that's the Glenn making that point. Just last month, European Union officials were threatening Elon Musk with sanctions and other legal reprisals if he didn't censor more. Now they're threatening him with sanctions because he's censoring more. Do you see the issue? Zero principles, just whether the right people are being censored. So they're not against censorship. They just don't want their side being censored. Here is Elon Musk actually talking about what happened. So he went on a Spaces, whatever those things, and they got him. There's a couple of journalists who confronted him, and listen to this.
Well, as I'm sure everyone who's been doxxing would agree, showing real-time information about somebody's location is inappropriate, and I think everyone on this call would not like that to be done to them. And there is not going to be any distinction in the future between journalists, so-called journalists, and regular people. Everyone's going to be treated the same. You're not special because you're a journalist. You're a Twitter. You're a citizen. So no special treatment. You dox, you get suspended. End of story. So ban evasion, or trying to be clever about it, like, oh, I posted a link to the real-time information, is obviously simply trying to evade the meaning. There's no different than actually showing real-time information.
So when you're saying posting a link to it, I mean, some of the people like Drew and Ryan Mack from the New York Times who were banned were they were reporting on it in the course of sort of pretty normal.
So she's saying that when they were posting links on Twitter to his jet location, that they were just reporting on it, and that was just normal reporting. That's what she's saying.
Journalistic endeavors. You consider that like a tricky attempt at ban evasion?
You show the link to the real-time information, ban evasion, obviously.
Drew, I don't think you were posting the real-time information, right?
I mean, you're suggesting that we're sharing your address, which is...
So it would have been helpful had he just answered that question, that guy Drew.
He did do it, yeah. She
asked him a question just now. He didn't answer it.
Yeah.
So he's the journalist that got banned, and so then he starts talking journalisty. So she asks him...
Drew, I don't think you were posting the real-time information, right?
Well, I would like to know. I don't know. His account is now blocked, so I can't go back and check. So I wish he would have just answered. Let's hear what he says.
I mean, you're suggesting that we're sharing your address, which is not.
So he won't answer that question because it sounds like the answer is yes, I was doing that thing you're claiming I wasn't doing. The thing that Elon Musk is claiming I did and you're claiming I didn't. Turns out it looks like he was doing it because he won't answer that question. And he's the journalist, not the he's talking like a politician, even though he's a journalist.
Not true.
So I'll go back one more time.
The real-time information, right?
I mean, you're suggesting that we're sharing your address, which is not true. And you're suggesting that we're posting. We never. I never posted your address.
You posted a link to the address.
We posted a link. In the course of reporting about Elon Jet, we posted links to Elon Jet, which are now not online and now banned on Twitter. And Twitter also, of course, marks even the Instagram and Mastodon accounts of Elon Jet as harmful. Using, we have to acknowledge, using the same exact link blocking technique that you have criticized as part of the Hunter Biden New York Post story. And
so now, correct me if I'm wrong. The reason why that was wrong to ban the Hunter Biden New York Post story is because that was an accurate news story. And it was being suppressed for political reasons, not for safety reasons. It wasn't, there was nothing safety about that. That was just 100% political. So now he's conflating doxing someone with the censorship of an accurate news story. Those are not the same thing, but he's conflating them.
They all do that on purpose because they want someone, just like a guy that went there and jumped on the car or whatever the hell happened. That's what they want to happen. That's what they want. They've been doing this to a lot of people for a long time, and they all collude to do it, by the way.
2020. So what is different here and there?
No more acceptable for me. It's no more acceptable for me, for you, than it is for me. Same thing. So anyway.
So it's unacceptable what you're doing?
No, what you dox, you get suspended, end of story. That's it.
Elon,
and that was that. And then I think he bounced. So too bad that guy couldn't answer a straight question. Maybe he deserves to be.
They straight up a bunch of their names I recognize them from other stuff.
Oh, they're the worst. They're the
straight
dregs.
up lie, and they set up real. They're not journalists. I wouldn't call them activists. They're like dirty campaigners, like those guys that made the Rogan thing. Like they're like that kind of person.
So what is in violation of this policy? Under this policy, you can't share the following types of private information without the permission of the person who it belongs to. A home address or physical location information. That's what that is. Physical location information. Here's where Elon's jet is. Including street address, GPS coordinates, or other identified information related to locations. Live location information, that again is his jet, including information shared on Twitter directly or links to third-party URLs of travel routes, actual physical location, or other identifying information that would reveal a person's location, regardless if this information is publicly available. That's from the New York Times. So here's how it goes. So the owner of Elon Jet's account, Jack Sweeney, has previously said that all the information he used to create the account is publicly available. And then he wouldn't respond to additional for comment.
Yeah.
So then the guy just goes, so again, this sounds like bullshit.
Yeah, it is.
Although the data used to operate Elon Jet account and other similar accounts tracking celebrity planes is publicly accessible, experts note there isn't a single government registry of such data. So what that means is you actually requires you putting together separate pieces of information to create a tracking account. So it's not like the government just does this and gives this information out. You have to come along and do it yourself and put it together. So doing so, of course, raises privacy concerns. The tracking capabilities are possible thanks to technology called Automated Dependent Surveillance Broadcast, or ADSB. It's like global positioning system technology, or GPS, but on steroids. Every 3 seconds, ADS-B equipment on a plane sends out real-time data about not just the aircraft's location, but also its altitude and velocity and other critical elements of its journey. That has two main purposes: to avoid mid-air collisions and to allow people on the ground to know where an airplane is at all times. But ADS-B technology also allows airplanes to be easily tracked by anyone with a compatible receiver. And if you're able to crowdsource enough additional information about an airplane, like its tail number and its previous locations, you can figure out who is likely to be using the plane, said Preston Holland, the chief operating officer at Flying Media Group. And that's where websites like ADSBExchange.com comes in. It's an online forum for aviation enthusiasts that has also become a central clearinghouse for digital sleuths looking to figure out who may be flying and where. The website's founder, Dan Strufert, said the site isn't explicitly designed for gawking at celebrities' whereabouts. He continued, "We publish everything, and it's already in public data. We're not sharing anything you couldn't find from many other sources." But you are now putting them all together. But other flight tracking websites like FlightRadar.com and FlightAware.com do actively suppress flight information about planes whose operators have asked the FAA to block their registration numbers from public view. However, because ADSBExchange.com doesn't rely on FAA feeds, but instead on individual site users, it isn't bound by that program. All these folks send data in, we aggregate the info, and then we put it on a map, Stufert said. The purpose of this is not for being a paparazzi, it's for aviation enthusiasts. The website is where Sweeney appears to have sourced some of the information used to set up Elon jet tracking account. Strufert acknowledged that many airplane owners have reasonable privacy concerns, but when it comes to removing sensitive information, he said, the website doesn't seek to be an arbiter of data that is widely accessible.
Is it a tech company or not?
Right? The FAA has another program that allows planes to encode their ADS-B signals so they can't be matched to other information in the public available civil aviation registry. It's unclear whether Musk and his plane's operator participated in either the registration blocking program or the ADS-B signal encoding one. Musk couldn't be reached for comment on that. That'd be the question I'd want to ask him. Why don't you just block it? That's the real question. Why don't you just block it?
I thought he said he had it blocked or something, and it. But this kid's program, is that what ADS-B is, or is he doing something using ADS-B?
He's using ADS-B.
Yeah, he's getting some other information too.
So he's doing. It's not it's not like he's just going to link to a government website that gives you this information. He's got a program that's collecting all this data and then he's putting it together.
So that he can blackmail him for a job.
So he can blackmail him for a job.
Which is how a bunch of those, like your Parker Malloys, I think they got their jobs. They threaten these companies. Oh, I better hire her. She sounds really.
Well, I can't validate that assertion, but I see what you're saying. So I want to go back to Glenn Greenwald and what this really reveals about the shit libs. Now, again, I'm not for banning, but here we go.
By far, the number one villain is Rick Snyder, who's now being embraced by.
So he's talking about the former governor of Michigan, who he did this a year during the campaign, the last presidential campaign. The Democrats went to Michigan and they campaigned with Rick Snyder, who's the guy who poisoned all those people in Flint, Michigan, and he's a horrible right wing, just the worst kind of authoritarian. He took away people's ability to be mayor in their own town, and he appointed mayors and city managers. So he's the worst kind of guy. And Glenn's going to tell you that the Democrats got in bed with him.
Biden campaign as somebody whose endorsement they're proud to have. Right. And that is just, it's the reason why liberals are so repulsive. They don't have any fixed beliefs. They weaponize everything cynically. Yeah. And they're so transparent about it. And then at the same time, so sanctimonious about who they are. Right? Like, I remember like Lee Atwater, who of course was like a scumbag political operative, kind of like reveled in the fact that that's what he was, right? Like Roger Stone is sort of the same way.
Same thing.
Like they're totally amoral scumbags, but they kind of admit it. They don't really pretend otherwise. Liberals are exactly the same. They have zero principles. They weaponize everything against their enemies and then ignore and give license to whoever's on their side. But then at the same time are so self-righteous about who they are. And that's what makes them uniquely repulsive.
That and this in this situation is revealing that. Anything else you want? I don't want to spend too much time on this because everybody in the world is going to cover it, and my angle is probably different than every other fucking YouTuber's. So
the guy Yoel or whatever his name is, the safety guy that
the safety guy
the
at Twitter,
hysterical headlines. He's had to flee his home.
Yeah,
in San Francisco.
He's pretending that he's a victim now.
So. And that was nobody gave out his address.
No one
just showed his old weird papers he wrote.
Yeah. And
now he's afraid. And it's just amazing to watch the difference. And like, what? Why can't everyone know where you're going to be? Why don't you? I thought you like free speech. Or you got a guy with a mask come and jump on your car with your kid in it.
But Nancy Pelosi and Paul, they're the biggest victims in the world. If you got my God, anything you say and rely.
Yeah.
So someone just went after his kid. Someone just went after his kid.
They're hoping that will happen.
Yes. So again, I'm not a fan of Elon Musk. I had big hope for him before when he first took over, but then as soon as I realized he was playing dumb around Julian Assange, I realized and we've reported here that he's in bed with the military-industrial complex. He is the establishment. He's not. He might censor a little less in certain situations, but Julian Assange is still Julian Assange to him. Okay. So this isn't a defense of Elon Musk. This segment is a reveal of the unbelievable blatant hypocrisy of the shit libs who have been screaming for more censorship. They haven't been screaming for less. They've been screaming for more censorship. You know that. Hey, we're doing live stand-up comedy in Los Angeles, December 9th, 16th, 23rd, and 30th. And we're going to be in Tempe, Milwaukee, Minneapolis, Nashville. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for all those tickets. See you there.